on Up at Noon. We're opening a gigantic box of Justice League toys and a vaping Batmobile. Plus, we got South Park pillows that actually fart, and then we're playing the new Mummy movie video game, and guess what? It's really good. All that and more, this is Up at Noon.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Hey.
Good to see you.
How's it going? Yeah.
We're doing good.
We're off to a pretty good start.
Hold on, we both really flared that V out today.
I think that annoys some people, but I don't care. I really like it.
You know who it doesn't annoy? The sexy beasts that want to crawl all over us.
When I'm down at my cabana, I like to unbutton most of the buttons of the shirt. Anyway, welcome to Up at Noon. I'm sorry in advance. My name is Max Scoville, and this is Brian Altano.
Hello there.
This is a show we do every week, most of the time, and we do it live on IGN and all the various tendrils of IGN's media global dominating empire, such as YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, PS4, Xbox One, and hopefully one of these days the Nintendo Switch. But as of yet, not really much coming to Switch.
No,
not really
quiet
so much.
Year.
Yeah,
they're calling it quiet year.
Honestly, this is really probably the dullest week in the world of gaming.
I know.
Not really. It's actually one of the busiest weeks in gaming we've had in quite some time. The big games that came out today, tomorrow, whatever you want to call that, we got Super Mario Odyssey, we got Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and Assassin's Creed Origins. All of these huge, massive games, and the reviews are out, the embargoes are up, and the consensus is these are all pretty good video games.
Yeah, they're all getting amazing scores across the board from literally everyone except for like some of those dandy sourpusses that dwell in the corners of the interweb.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said about Arthur. But no, we've got. I mean, it's really cool though because I was looking at it, and the last time you had this much of a spread of this many weird games that are all great coming out kind of at the same time, it reminds me of. The first 2 weeks of November in 2011.
Yeah.
That like stretch of 10 days, we got Arkham City, Skyrim, LA Noire, Minecraft, Modern Warfare 3, Super Mario 3D Land, and like Uncharted 3, and it was just like you could buy a game at random and basically be okay. That's
right.
There's actually tons of shovelware still, but
it's Marty Sleva and I, who works here at IGN, we were texting about this last night, but I can't remember the last time like Nintendo specifically had a year like this, where first of all, I mean, they've got massive games in the form of Zelda and Mario, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. But just focusing on those two, here at IGN, we gave both of those games a 10 out of 10, which we don't just like throw that around. That's like a meme. But we actually don't do that often. People are always like, Call of Duty 10 out of 10. We've literally never done that.
No, I'm still a little bit sour that like The Witcher got like a 9.7. Like what? Just kick it the rest of the way in. You know, that's like when the golf ball lands like on the lip of the cup. Just call it a win. You know?
I think if like the combat was better, it would have gotten a 10. But you know, it's had some.
You get a vineyard in the DLC. It's
that's not fighting.
Anyway, going back to easy for you.
Well, anyway, no, we had 3D World and Link Between Worlds in the same year once. We had Sunshine and Metroid Prime, Mario Prime. We also had, I think like the major difference here is that this is the first time both of these are happening at the same time in the same year as a new platform launched.
Right.
I mean, usually launch games are sort of just like, whatever. But Nintendo kind of had the benefit of taking a couple years of figuring out what went wrong with the Wii U and turning things around. So this is very cool.
Well, what's really funny is you look at their track record, and most of the time it's either on two different systems, and frequently one of those systems that their hot game comes out for is a handheld, and then one's a console. But in this case, the system is both.
Yes.
They monopolize their own market. But I mean that's awesome. I'm dying to play Mario. It's gonna be really fun.
There's also Stranger Things Season 2 launches this weekend. There they are.
Yeah, look at that. You reboot the Ghostbusters with women, everyone gets mad. You do it with kids, and everyone gets waffles at the store. Go figure.
I'm simultaneously very excited for this because I love the first season. I love this era. I grew up in this era, so seeing like shows made about this era now are really fascinating to me. But I'm also kind of like, Netflix kind of has a problem where they don't know when too much of a good thing is. House of Cards is on like season 6. Orange is the New Black is 80 hours now, which feels like a prison sentence.
Well, they've got a ticking clock with Stranger Things because those kids are puberty's gonna hit them like a truck eventually.
Yeah.
So I think they said they're gonna cap it at 4 seasons, and I hope they hold them to
Really?
that. Yeah, I think they said Stranger Things is gonna be like that. Then again, they also said that it almost was an anthology series before every show was an anthology, and I'm like, honestly, if they were like, hey, Stranger Things is a universe, like the Cloverfield universe, and they just use it, because this show is called Stranger Things, I feel like you can apply that terminology to pretty much anything that has that mix of like macabre and nostalgia.
Of course, yeah, and so that's cool, because that taking that concept and applying it to like maybe the 90s or the early 2000s could be weird, interesting. That said, like Netflix today announced that they are making a second season of American Vandal, which was a 12-episode show based on a single joke that they are now going to milk out even further. I don't know. Like, people, like, we had this debate a lot here at IGN. Like, how long should a game be? Like, how long should a movie be? We saw, like, original rumors for Justice League, which we'll talk about later, that the movie was, like 480 minutes. And we found out it's actually the shortest DC EU movie to date, which is good news. I'm sure there'll be a director's cut that has, like, all these extra scenes of, like, Batman breathing or whatever. You know, they'll get there. But sometimes more doesn't equal better. It's kind of an argument we've been having a lot. With your money, like how much money is worth a game that's like 10 hours, with Battlefront being 5 hours? Like, it's just a conversation. I think it's important to think about that. Like, sometimes we get a thing and it's great, and then you consume it and it's awesome and it's done. But then they're like, did you like that? And you're like, yes, I did. And they're like, here's 12 more hours. I'm like, okay, I could do that. And then they're like, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one.
That game, The Order, which is like, it's not great, but it's gorgeous and it's fine and it's a functional video game, is on sale on PSN for like $4, like $3.99. And somebody tweeted at me, was like, is this worth it? I'm like, it's less than coffee.
Yeah.
Like a vessel of liquid costs more than this 10-hour virtual world you can explore with your computer console.
Right.
Like, what?
And I've never drank a video game, gotten jittery, and then peed it out. So
good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, finally, speaking of video games, one thing Nintendo did, because they couldn't just have, a slow week that they could put this in, they announced that they're doing an Animal Crossing game for smartphones. It's called Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. This seems like a perfect fit. Also, it pretty much just looks like a full-blown Animal Crossing game.
yeah, straight up. I think looking at it now, I've been like a big fan of Animal Crossing since the first one that ever came to GameCube, which was a port of the N64 game, which was only released in Japan. It had a weird name like Dubotsu no Moro or something like that. Really weird game. It was really hard to explain to people back in the early 2000s that, like, here's this game. Max and I did a Let's Play just recently of, like, okay, you're this kid and you moved into this town because I think you get in a fight with your mom or something. That's never really implied. And you get there and, like, a raccoon's like, you want a house? And you're like, hell yeah, I love houses. And he's like, that'll be $100 million. And then you have to start working for him. And all these animals live in the town with you. And you go hit him in the head in the middle of the night and steal their furniture.
If you'd like to hear more about Brian's thoughts on Animal Crossing, we have just an hour of us playing it.
Yeah.
You're a good tour guide.
Yeah, so anyway, this looks like a smaller, more pint-sized version of the actual town that you live in most of those games, which is okay because I think it's making up for it in the systems and the social implications that this will have being a smartphone game.
That was always my big hang-up on Animal Crossing, is it didn't seem like it quite made sense as an offline game, or as not a port.
Yeah.
Like, to play it on GameCube always just seemed as like kind of a swing and a miss, but to have it as a thing that you take with you everywhere is like, I mean, it was a precursor to games like Farmville.
Yeah.
So, and those were all about like, oh, like share the carrots with your friends, and that's like a game about, I don't know, check out my town, check out what I did to my house.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, I can text you from anywhere in the world. You and I can FaceTime from anywhere. We can, like, send each other photos easily.
Do, though.
What am I going to do? I see you 100 hours a week. If I'm going and FaceTime you, I miss you, dude. It's been like 10 minutes. We do a comedy button tonight? All right, I see you then. But the way the 3DS worked, which was the most social that this franchise has ever gotten, because I was here at IGN when that game launched, we were all walking around the office with our 3DSs and then watching the da-da-da-da-da-da-da as it sort of pinwheeled, connecting to Wi-Fi. With a phone, I'll just walk up to you and be like, yo, man, you got grapes? Be like, yeah, I got grapes. I'll trade you for a cool, sexy lamp. And then we have a house with grapes and lamps.
Yeah.
The best things.
That's awesome. I'm very excited about this.
Max, we didn't really get to talk about the biggest...
No, hold on. I know we don't usually get too political here, but there's one story I do want to touch on. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, had a little bit of a faux pas happen to him recently this week. This is a hot piece of news. Again, we don't try to touch politics here. He was in a meeting with a bunch of French politicians, and his dog, Nemo, came into the room and pissed in the fireplace. And I just wanted to show that picture off. That's the dog on the left there. That's the dog that peed in the fireplace.
After or before? Because he's got the face of a dog really, being like, I gotta go pee.
It's honestly hard to tell. Also, I was reading up on this. They don't even know the dog's age.
Yeah.
They estimate 1 to 2 years because it was a rescue.
What's up with France where they wear bow ties on their ass?
That's a great question. Anyway, speaking of animals and leaking...
Why didn't we talk about the biggest platforming game of the year, launching on Nintendo Switch right now? Everyone knows who it is. Everyone's been excited since the age of the Nintendo 64. That's right, people. It's Poi.
you talked about Poi enough on this?
What a week for brand new 3D platforming games.
How much did Poi pay you to talk about Poi?
N64.
I think you're
what
Poi,
a huge
I think you're
week.
Poi'd off.
I've been waiting my entire life.
How much they
for
give
Poi.
you? $5?
This is
$10?
just fantastic. Poi is
you're
here.
corrupt.
It's the biggest game on Nintendo Switch this week. You can collect the gems, and there's the snail, and also you go on the slide. And I don't think there's anything else to play but that. And that's the #1 game on Switch.
It's got a great soundtrack too. It's the entire Titanic soundtrack by James Horner.
Even Mario is excited that
Yes.
he can take the week off thanks to Poi.
Yes, it's a me, the mascot of the platform Poi is on. You're having fun with this, aren't you?
I like that.
I love that we both like have prank stories we put in without telling the other one.
Hell
Like
yeah.
the French president's dog peed, and you're like, Poi.
That's not a prank. That's a treat. That's like getting
okay.
That's like you order a thing and they give you 2.
Which part? The dog peeing or the? Anyway.
First of all, I'm not big on fireplaces, and I love dogs, so that's a great story.
All right.
I got to see those French bow tie butts.
All right. So a lot of big games came out this week. Most of them came out on purpose. Here's a weird story. Sony leaked a game. That doesn't happen often or at all, but there's a new game called Planet of the Apes: Last Frontier, and a guy I follow from Sony tweeted it out on his Twitter feed, and I was like, oh, that game's out. That's weird. They dumped it out this week with no announcement. That seems sort of unfair to the game. I wonder if it's terrible. And then I paid $30 of my own money to download it.
Right.
And I started it up, and it worked fine. And it's very much like kind of a Telltale game. What's interesting is it's one of those Sony PlayLink games where you use your phone as a controller, like it pairs. There's like a dedicated app for it, and when you start it up, it says, "Oh, here's the app you can get. It's on iOS." And I pulled up the App Store. I'm like, I guess I'll try that out, and it wasn't on there, which was kind of an odd. I was like, well, maybe it takes a second, whatever. But yeah, it's basically like a very high-res sort of Telltale kind of interactive narrative type of game.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous.
and this
you
is
and I
all-
track
yeah.
this stuff all the time because we host Podcast Beyond here at IGN. We watch The Drop every single week,
Yeah,
which
which
is
is-
a big article that's saying all new things. You texted me the other day being like, this game is up, but it wasn't even in The Drop. They sent this out to die.
Yeah, this game has had like a really weird sort of track record just in terms of sort of announcement. They teased it at New York Comic Con last year. Andy Serkis has been involved in the development. He's an executive producer on it. It's developed by a studio called Digerati, I think, like Paparazzi or Illuminati or whatever, but digital. And it's obviously they're reusing a lot of the technology that they developed for the mocap of the apes, and it's all like people playing the apes, and it's visually really impressive. So why would you just kind of dump it out there on the store without telling anybody? And the reason is they did not mean to do that and
Right.
proceeded to take it down. So if you want to buy this game, I guess you got to sit tight for whenever they decide to release it.
So you have this on the PS4 on our desk right now, which is amazing because it's like if you got in that window and you bought it, there it is. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you have to wait until fall 2017, which is the only actual discernible release
Which
date
is
that
strange.
this game has
And
gotten so far.
there's two theories I have about this, about when they're going to release it or why they haven't already. One is that they are waiting for final support from the App Store, from the Apple Store, because I know that iTunes is very strange about release dates. They don't really like developers to have a hard release date, and we see this again with stuff like Nintendo's like Animal Crossing games or Super Mario Run, where they'll be like, it's coming in late November, and like that's a heavy hitter like like Nintendo. I imagine Sony's the same case. Even they can't budge Apple to be like, give us a hard date. So maybe they're waiting for the app to be ready, and then they can be like, hey, this is coming out at this time, and they promote it and so on and so forth. The other alternative is that they're going to do one of those, and it's available now at either their Paris Games Week or PlayStation Expo press conference thing.
Yeah, I think this is fascinating for a game that's based on one of the biggest movies of the year, obviously one of the biggest budgets, War for the Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen it, really, really cool film. But also, it kind of picks up where some events of the film left off, and Max hasn't seen the movie yet.
Right.
And sort of just got shown some
actually
stuff.
really confused. Apparently, I was reading on our news story we have up. Apparently, it takes place between Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes or whatever, which I'm not sure of. Again, it just seems odd to not. There's like no promotion for this really.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're doing. The game is by no means bad.
Yeah, it's also like, I don't know. I hate to be like that weird artsy guy that's just like, what is a game? But from what I've seen so far, it's sort of an interactive novel. right? Or an interactive movie.
Yeah, they've said it runs about 2 to 3 hours long, and it's got a bunch of different endings. And the whole point with sort of the PlayLink thing, or with it has controller support for up to 4 people, is the idea is that basically you're voting on where the story goes.
Right.
So you sit around with your friends, and you sit down and watch it. And I think that's. I mean, Telltale obviously always. I think they have a similar option like that for some of their games.
They've done like theater shows
Right.
where they get a bunch of people in and they all make decisions on
Right.
who Batman punches.
But it's mostly been about like, oh, you drive the story. But in this case, it's like, oh no, the whole room is determining what happens. You could have one guy in there who screws it up, and it's like, I think the monkey should eat the baby or whatever. As far as it being like particularly exciting, it's very serious, very somber. It reminds me a bit of Walking Dead. It's also got some kind of like Last of Us vibes to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Planet of the Apes: The Last Frontier. Available ? 2017, I guess.
Come play it on our PS4 at work if you want to check it out.
Yeah, just swing by the office.
This kind of thing happens, right? Sometimes it's as simple as like walking in a room and turning on a switch. We here at IGN are guilty of it. We have broken embargoes by accident because we'll set a video to publish at 6 p.m. that night and accidentally write 6 a.m. or things happen. So our condolences to everybody who worked on this thing.
Yeah.
Like this is a kind of a bad way to have your game out there, but it was there and we had to do our jobs and jump on it and put the video up. So that's the story. Really, really fascinating.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see more. I hope it takes off. I feel like the Planet of the Apes series in general is one of the most kind of like quietly underrated. Like, I guess they do okay at the box office,
Right.
But that's like a solid trilogy. I mean, I haven't seen the last one, but everyone kind of agrees that it's good. But the first 2 are fabulous. So, anyway, in other news, we got a giant box sent to us by the fine folks at Mattel, and it's full of Justice League toys, like every grade possible, like going from like the stuff for little kids who like to bash toys together in the yard to more collector grade stuff. So I figured we'd just kind of talk about that and goof around and talk about DC action figures for like, I don't know, 20 minutes probably.
Yeah, we've got a lot. So this desk is about to get crowded with superheroes.
Now, first things first, let me put on my proper gear to really get this right. All right.
Activate tactical scan.
Did you just tactical
Voice
scan me?
changer activated.
I absolutely did. I'm Batman. Does this sound like Ben Affleck? I think I sound awesome.
You sound
Yeah.
like the Scream Killer.
What? I actually. So yeah, this is the voice changing Batman mask. If you didn't gather that by the fact that it's a Batman mask.
Oh
that
my God!
changes voices.
You can be this year's Chewbacca mom.
Yeah, I love that that's like a new genre of toys that they just came out with. Also, it's kind of funny to me that Batman would be like, voice changer activated, and you'd be like, sorry, what? It's like when they, I don't know, leave like the tag on something. You want to just
How does it work?
You push the button on the side.
Which button?
The one button. There's one button on it. I don't know. Did you break it? You look cool though, at least.
Well,
so yeah, it's the voice changing mask. I think that's like.
I am Batman.
Yeah, now I'm Batman.
Sounds exactly like him in the movie.
Everyone, it's me, Brian. I'm ready to tell you all about kissing and making love.
You said, God, it's really awful. I really don't like what you're doing over there.
I'm Batman.
Please stop. Please stop that.
I miss you, Superman. Let's do kisses in your coffin.
So if you hate toys that make a lot of noises, I've got bad news because most of these do. So if you're a parent and you have a headache, you might want to go take a nice nap. They've got a whole line of Justice League talking figures, which are $15.99.
Only $15.99 available in stores now.
Please stop doing that.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, here's a Cyborg from that line. They're surprisingly loud. And then he just, I don't know, he's quiet for a second. He just shouts. Yeah, so they're toys that talk.
Is that always his arm?
I don't know. I haven't seen the film yet. It's not out.
Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know a ton about this character, but if I was a robot, I would get 2 robot hands. Because you have that choice. There he is. So do these guys talk to each other?
I don't know. They make that weird noise though. Anyway, so one thing, like I don't know enough about Cyborg or like the actor who plays him to be like, oh, that's totally not his voice. That's definitely not Henry Cavill, this man's face here, if you want to take a look at that. That's totally not him. Also, I love how the voice things make them just look like kind of chubby or like they're wearing wires. Here's what Superman probably doesn't sound like in Justice League.
My Kryptonian powers will save the day.
like a real. They really went like fully like golden age.
Yeah, it's very campy. I kind of. What was that?
That's his Kryptonian powers, clearly.
Oh, I thought he just crashed.
Yeah, I don't know. The sound effects aren't like clear enough to be like, oh, I know what that is. It just like.
It sounded like he Chris Farley'd through a picnic.
Yeah, it's like when you drop your phone and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" You're like, "Yeah, no, I just dropped my phone. It's fine." And we also have, I think, the Batman from that line. There's a Flash.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
Is he gonna make a running noise? Yeah, he makes a running noise.
I think that was punch. That was
Yeah,
punching.
that's
noise.
punching. That's. I guess he just runs fast and hits them. Here's the Batman one, which is pretty funny.
I'm up to this fight.
You gonna make him kiss? What?
Join the Justice League.
Yeah, so they all
See,
like.
they're talking to each other.
Yeah,
The Flash. I can use that Flash.
yeah.
Superman. I can get there as fast as lightning. Batman. From all we've got.
They all know each other. This
Yeah,
is so
they're
crazy.
a Justice League. They're a league. They're super friends.
See, I'm up for this fight.
And they keep talking to each other, and it keeps going. So yeah, these are these guys. They have a vehicle in this line. I feel like we should almost come back to this. This is just gonna make a disaster of things. This is the Nightcrawler. You need to stop what you're doing right now. That's
Why?
not okay.
This
It's
is-
not
this-
it's not
I
appropriate.
have a deleted scene from the film. Look at this.
What is that noise? Okay.
Yeah, now you are. With your friend on your
All right.
shoulder.
So let's take a look at this thing. This is the.
That's him. I didn't do
okay,
it.
fine. I don't know what that noise is either. But so this is the Justice League Batman.
This looks quiet.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd ever get that idea.
Online and ready for battle.
Thanks. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it sounds like a spaceship.
Weapon systems activate.
All right.
Okay.
And it's got missiles because it's a toy.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, what's really cool though. Brace yourself.
What? What the hell is it? Is it terraforming
Sorry,
the
what
Earth?
did you say? I can't hear you
What
over
is
this
it
really
doing?
fun toy.
Fuel at full capacity.
So you can actually put Superman in here, tuck his cape away. Also, come on, just. I don't think he's too tall for it or something. Shut up, you nerd.
Superman. Weapons, batteries, and fuel at full capacity.
They're just like shouting at each other in there. I like that there's this little sunroof here, and I don't really know what the point of it is, but I think it's so you can like put treats in there. Like you can put like a gerbil in this thing and have it just drive around, and you'd be like, oh, you need a.
Don't put a gerbil in this thing.
So a cool trick if you're trying to have fun this holiday season and you're afraid of burglars.
High alert.
It's so loud in here.
You're gonna break our desk.
Enemy presence detected.
So if you're wondering how we get scratches on the desk here, they're still talking to each other. This is like that movie Small Soldiers, but like.
What was all that? That felt like a fever dream.
Okay, let's calm down a little bit.
Okay, so these are in. You can buy them.
Yeah, these guys are like $16 each. The
Wow.
the Nightcrawler I think is like 40, 45, somewhere like that.
The voice changing helmet's 30, and what else?
I'm
you
like
got?
tired. They also do have sort of more conventional toys. There's also the Batmobile, which is pretty cool. We're gonna talk about Batmobiles in a second. This is a Batmobile. It launches missiles. I don't know if like what planet you're on, but there've been Batmobiles since we were children. They've always been around. They launch missiles. They've got wheels. They're cool cars. I don't even want to unbox this because like I don't know. I'll give it to like a kid for Christmas or something. But there's the regular action figures, which are like $10, and they're like surprisingly nice. These
are only 10.
Yeah, they're $10. They're like the regular, like kind of like basic line.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's also the multiverse line, which is kind of more aligned with like the Marvel Legends
they're
series.
good quality for 10.
Super articulated. The Wonder Woman is surprisingly good. The accessories look kind of dorky, but like the sculpt and the paint pretty solid, and there's like decent articulation there. But the real kind of just the really impressive thing is, good God, is the Batmobile they sent us that is for mature collectors. This is the Justice League. Can you lift it okay? This is the Justice League Ultimate app-enabled Batmobile. Let's just get that. You want to grab that box? This is going to take a second. I have to turn it on, and it will be very loud. So, first things first, let me grab my phone. This is basically a drone. You have to connect to a Wi-Fi network called Batmobile.
What?
Yes.
It has its own Wi-Fi
It
network?
emits this is like how a lot of drones work. It emits a Wi-Fi signal to your phone and then gives you direct video feed from in here. I'm actually not going to drive it around because I will absolutely break it and probably one of the cameras in our studio. But as you can see, there's like a little seat in there.
Try, I'll hold on to it.
Yeah. It actually comes with a Batman who fits in here. I'll just shove him in there half-assedly. But basically, it does a bunch of very loud things. And it's kind of impressive, but it does one thing that's genuinely mind-bogglingly kind of absurd. You might want to turn that around so we can see its patoot. This Batmobile vapes.
What?
This Batmobile comes with a small vial of fluid that you put in this little hole over here, this little gas tank.
I don't like these words.
It's gonna get worse. I'm sorry, I have to initiate the navigation link. As you can see, this is the camera view there. So there's a little camera. There's my finger.
Oh,
right
holy
there.
crap.
Yeah. Now hold on. Let me just. Sorry. Is it doing it? What? Just go. There we go. All right. Now let me turn on the vape. Yeah. So it's like a little baby fog machine. And it, yeah.
Are we gonna set off the smoke alarms?
We
have
actually
to evacuate this building. It's be very bad.
I probably should. I'm gonna turn that off. Yeah. It also drives, obviously. I think we got some video of that, if you want to show that off. Here's what it looks like being driven by me, the idiot around the office. I felt like the brattiest kid imaginable doing this while people are trying to work, and I'm just like, ah, ah. But yeah, this thing is 250 bucks. It's got, I mean, it's an insane remote-controlled car. You use your phone to pair with it. I'm just going to turn this off because it's tremendously loud. Actually, no, I'm going to shoot some guns first. It makes a lot of noises. Check this out.
They wiggle!
What's weird is... Yeah.
Well,
Not so fast, are you now, Batman? Yeah.
wow, this is like Zack Snyder the car.
It really is. It's really like the most like Zack Snyderian thing I've seen in quite some time.
Snyderian.
I'm turning it off because it literally sounds like a lawnmower. But yeah, huge thanks to Mattel for sending us all this stuff. This thing is just like, it's an insane toy.
Yeah.
It's completely out of control. It's got a fog machine on it and a camera, and it becomes a Wi-Fi signal. So, I mean, toys are over. Go home. You could probably like kill a pet with this thing, though I don't recommend it. Then again, I mean, Batman uses guns now, so all bets are off. We left tire tracks on the desk. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and also that thing like mulched the table.
What?
A lot, yeah.
Mulched?
Yeah, it was just like.
Now we also got some other DC figures. These are from DC Collectibles, which is the kind of higher end collector grade stuff. You got to go to comic shops and specialty stores to get them. They do really fantastic work. I'm honestly incredibly pleased with the stuff they've been putting out. And they've got a line of figures. It's a little bit of a walk to explain them. They're called Bombshells, and they started out as a series of statues based on reimaginings of DC heroines as Golden Age era pinups. So they're like sexy, old school Elseworlds superheroes.
That's awesome.
In this case, we've got, what's her face? Hera, Mira, Aquaman's, I keep getting her confused with Hela from Thor. And then there's Katana from Suicide Squad. And there's Hawkgirl, who's got a jetpack. She's basically just the Rocketeer, which rules. And then there's Batgirl, who's got like, her cape comes out of her backpack. And you can actually
that's really cool.
You can actually open the backpack up and put her like goggles in there and stuff. I've always been a bigger fan of action figures than statues. And the statues, we've shown off similar stuff like, I've got this sort of, there's the other line which is more like motorcycle driven. Here's Wonder Woman over here. But I love that they're like, hey, this thing did well as a statue. Let's make it a toy too. So it's kind of like really the best of all the worlds, all else worlds. And they're also like super duper articulated. And there was a point in time where sort of higher concept action figure or higher concept like designs and stuff would be like, oh, let's just do like 3 points of articulation. But they really let you guys like, pose the crap out of these. So you can have them doing, exciting poses like cutting your finger on a katana.
How much do these go for?
These are around 25 to 30 bucks, depending where you buy them. But keep a lookout, and big thanks to DC Collectibles for sending those over.
Yeah, these are really, really cool looking.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see more stuff in this line. This is awesome.
Yeah. So moving on, while we're still talking about weird, deep cut, nerdy stuff, there's a book that came out recently that is totally up your alley.
That's right. Obviously, I grew up listening to hip hop. I also grew up reading comic books. I was huge into Marvel Comics all through the 90s. So there's a new book out that shows a sort of partnership that Marvel has done with the universe of hip hop. Over the last few years, since 2015, they've created a series of crossover variant comic book covers, usually for number ones and reboots, where they took famous hip hop album covers, such as Dr. Dre's The Chronic, and they made a remix, like Doctor Strange's The Mystic.
You want to flip through that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I
So
can also do that if you want to talk.
this book's really interesting. That's Diggable Planets, Blowout Comb, which they did Blowout Claw for. There's like little nods and puns. That's TICAL, Method Man. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff in here. The thing that this book is missing is that I don't think they got the rights to there's Big Pun, the original comic books. So, I mean, the original hip-hop album covers. So you see the comic book covers, you see the sketches that inspired them, but you don't see the actual hip-hop covers that made them what they are. There's like Nas as Miles, you know, the Illmatic album cover is one of my favorite. There's Tyler, the Creator. There's so many here. Mobb Deep. Some of my favorite rappers of all time are all represented in this book, but they aren't named specifically. I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan, as you can see right here. So I flipped through this book and I said, you know, one thing that I can do here at IGN is sort of as a service, put together some of my favorite Wu-Tang album covers that were also became the inspiration for covers in this book. Since this book won't show you them, I figured I would. So real quick, Wu-Tang Clan is a group of 9, then 8, sometimes 10, sometimes 40.
They're like a superhero group.
Yeah, rappers from Staten Island who all got together in the 90s to make a little album called Enter the Wu-Tang, aka the 36 Chambers. They all take turns rapping. Riz is the producer, but he also raps. They've been putting out records forever. Most recently, they put out one just 2 weeks ago. But they've always been sort of weirdly like had one foot in nerd culture. And I think that's what kind of grabbed me when I was a kid, was sort of saying like, these guys like comic books and they like video games. There was a Wu-Tang video game.
Well,
I've got the
I
controller
love
right
that
here.
their name came from old kung fu movies.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I mean, yeah, they're very not so secretly huge nerds.
Yeah,
too,
they're like
so.
they're thugged out like drug dealers that will break your legs, but also like they'll catch a kung fu flick at the in Times Square and buy some comic books. So real quick. Wu-Tang and comic books have always been sort of intertwined. If we want to take a look real quick here, Iron Man is the name of a Ghostface Killah album cover because Iron Man was one of his code names. And he's been sort of sampling Dr. Doom for a very long time and been a big fan of that whole era. Liquid Swords looks like a comic book. That's Jizz's first album, came out in '94. We got Wu Massacre, which actually had 3 alternate covers, which is about as comic book as you can get. That came out just a few years ago. And then Wu-Tang actually had a dedicated comic book series called The 9 Rings of Wu-Tang, where all of the characters are represented in these like kind of crazy comic book forms. Wizard helped in conjunction with Image to put that out. And just recently, the saga continues. Their most newest album, The Corner, produced entirely by DJ Mathematics, is once again comic book inspired. So to cross back to Marvel, let's take a look at some of the stuff that Marvel has done inspired by Wu-Tang, starting from the beginning. Obviously, Enter the Wu-Tang. This is the first one. This is Squadron Supreme. Came out in 2015. They're number 1. Based entirely on this album cover. This is such a weird album cover to me because this was the first time any of us had ever heard of Wu-Tang. We'd never seen or heard anything this grimy in terms of New York City hip hop. And seeing this, these 9 guys who aren't even all on the cover, some of them are actually extras because they didn't show up. There's like the photographer and like DJ, people in the back,
I love that.
artists. They're wearing masks.
They got like the Wu-Tang symbol in the background too.
There's like, I guess they put a box fan on and blew all these candles across the room. It's so mysterious and so cool, but there's something just so triumphantly kung fu about it. And so there we see the remix of that with the Squadron Supreme logo made to look like the Wu-Tang logo. So I really dig that. Moving on, we've also got TICAL. Now, TICAL is one of the first rappers from Wu-Tang to put out his own solo album. This came out in '94. Again, blew our ears open because we had never heard anything like this. And so Red Wolf, who is a character I'm not really familiar with, they did a cover for him, again in 2015. So that's what these two look side by side.
Yeah.
Really big fan
That's
of that.
really, it seems like a huge missed opportunity that this book didn't have those things back to back. you
Yeah,
know?
so I don't really know where that disconnect is.
I think it just comes down to like licensing issues.
Exactly.
And probably a billion different record labels
Yep.
who all want a cut of it, and
Yep.
you can't afford to do that. So here we are doing it for you.
Yep, for sure. This is Liquid Swords, Jizz's first album cover, one of the grimiest hip hop albums ever made. It's also one
that
of the
rules.
smartest. I love this. I actually have a Liquid Swords shirt. I wear it on camera every now and then, and just like there's a couple random dudes in the comments being like, "Yo, I see you, dude." This is awesome. Again, I really like the way they handle some of the logo work. It's so cool to see Iron Man in this shot, in this pose, on the giant chess table. Again, Wu-Tang, they're really big nerds. They're really into chess. They reference chess a lot in their raps, so that's so cool. So yeah, Contest of Champions, again, 2015. ODB,
this is so good.
Rest in peace. Howard the Duck, rest in peace for a very long time until Guardians of the Galaxy brought him back in a post-credit stinger scene. This is awesome. I remember seeing this back in the day. This is such a cool album cover because it's his actual ID that they just kind of like messed with.
Also, the feathers and the dreads, just like that's such a
Yep,
perfect.
Yep.
Love that.
Turns out there's no Brooklyn Zoo. There's a zoo in the Bronx, which is really funny. But yeah, this is great. So moving on from there, we've got RAEKWON and Ghostface on Only Built for Cuban LINX. This is one of the first duo albums they put out, even though RAEKWON sort of took front and center. And over here we've got the Hulk taking front and center in the same exact style. And instead of Only Built for Cuban LINX, it says the Totally Awesome, which I really dig. From here, GRAVEDIGGAZ. A lot of people don't consider them Wu-Tang. They're entirely produced by RZA. I call them sort of like Wu-Tang cousins. 6 Feet Deep is awesome. It's one of my favorite records of all time. No one's ever heard of it. It's on Spotify. Go download it. Go listen to it. This is a menacing photo composition-wise. Terrifying. These guys aren't really around. One of them passed away a few years ago. But RZA raps on this album a lot over his own beats, which is about as Wu-Tang as it gets. And here we have the Howling Commandos of S.H.I.E.L.D., which are like, they went a little...
I know Marvel, okay? That's like
Yeah.
Man-Thing in the front, and then...
Well, also they went with this really weird, like...
Is that Hitmonkey?
Ralph Steadman art.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know
it's
who
just
they got
so
for that.
weird.
It's really strange.
But I love it, you know, and it's the kind of thing that if I saw this out of the corner of my eye, I'd be like, is that GRAVEDIGGAZ inspired? But most people would just be like, that's a cool cover.
I kind of want to see like Marvel do this with like heavy metal covers now.
Yeah,
too, you know?
totally.
Let's see what else.
And then we've got Iron Flag, which came out in 2001. One of their less interesting album covers, but I think they handled it well for Champions Volume 2, number 1. Now again, these are all variant covers. The originals also exist, but this was a nice nod they did. It kind of started with Run the Jewels connecting the dots with Marvel. So that's really cool. So yeah, that's just a brief history of 7 awesome times Wu-Tang and Marvel have crossed over in the last few years, side by side, and some brief history of Wu-Tang and comic books.
Yeah.
I will do everything I can to shoehorn Wu-Tang into this show.
Yeah, and if you if you know your rap album covers, then just grab the collection and I guess figure it out. It's kind of like a weird visual puzzle at that point. Now this is sort of a funny story. We're talking a lot this week about how Nintendo is sort of on top of the world and doing wonderful things. And they made Mario, and they made Zelda, and the Switch is doing great. They did make a partnership that's kind of a bummer. They partnered with SanDisk, the guys who make those little memory cards and stuff. And they're making Nintendo Switch branded micro SD cards, which obviously work well with the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, there's a massive markup for like no reason.
Yeah. Now, you probably have a SD card in your Switch. If you're like me, you got the biggest one you could without breaking the bank. I wanted to get the 256 gig one, but it was like borderline the same price as a Switch. So I got the 200 gig one, which turned out to be like $60, which I've almost completely filled already because just I can't stop playing games on Switch. When you think about micro SD cards, you never really think about like their sexiness or their visual appeal or their branding.
You put them in a tiny slot. They're the size of a fingernail. You know?
Exactly. So we got a letter to NVC, which is another show I do here from a guy named Joe Munger, who's a fan. He says he loves the show, loves listening every week. He's writing it because someone has to call Nintendo and SanDisk out on these Switch-branded micro SD cards. They're selling 64 gigabyte cards for $99 and 128 gigabyte cards for $199. I bought my 64 gig one for $20. I've seen 128 in the $50 to $60 range. Again, that's when I bought my 200 gig one. What am I missing here? This is Nintendo and SanDisk trying to take advantage of consumers who don't know any better, and it's totally disgusting.
Yeah.
This
is completely like screwing over people's moms at GameStop being like, what do I buy? And it's like, well, get the Nintendo one. It's guaranteed to work. And on some level, it's good that they have that, oh, it's official and approved and everything. But at the same time, it's also like, just get regular generic, I mean, maybe not generic, but like, the thing is with memory cards, you can go wrong. Like you can get one that's formatted weird that won't function right, and then you got this thing that you don't know what to do with. I've had that happen before with like camera stuff, and it's a pain in the ass, but like, for something like this, it's almost predatory. You know?
No, it totally is. And I
it's-
think like what bums me out about it is that SanDisk is a reputable brand when it comes to micro SD cards. Like when people ask me like, what should I get for my Switch, and I write out all the accessories, I can tell you the exact screen cover to get. I can tell you the best
Right.
cases, like cool charging docks, all this other stuff like that. We've covered it extensively on the show. SanDisk is the brand that I go, yeah, buy those. These just say Switch on them, and that ink costs you $100 more than just a basic one. So
I mean, at the same time, on like a collectible standpoint, if they actually did something interesting, like if they were
Right.
like, oh, here's one that's like gold and it's got like the Triforce on it, or like, oh, here's like it's got Mario's face, I'd be like, oh, that's still a total ripoff, but at least there's a reason for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a thing you don't see. You put it in a tiny slot on your device, and that's it. It's gone. It's more what you put on it that matters. So yeah, if you're at all confused about whether or not you should get these, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Go on Amazon, type in micro SD card, SanDisk, and just buy them when they're on sale. They usually get very cheap. It just got very dark and sultry in here.
What?
Did we lose a light?
Was that intentional? I honestly don't know. Are they going to mess with us? What are you doing?
wow.
Why is it spooky now?
Mood lighting.
Why are you doing this to us?
Oh my god.
Did somebody like sit on the board?
If any
Oh,
of you-
hey.
Hey, there they are.
Hey,
Our
let's,
boys in space.
I love that we've got the International Space Station on Skype. Hey guys, how's it going up there in space? Oh my goodness.
He took his helmet off, which is a good sign. That means the air is breathable.
That's why his head got so huge. It's all all the oxygen will make him explode and the guts shoot out there.
How is the gravity out there? Can you guys swim around a little bit? Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
you boys up there, you're doing a real great job.
Yeah.
I saw that video with the ukulele playing you put up, and it just really makes me happy. Also, I'm glad you can work with that one Russian guy in the corner.
Yeah, don't eat too much Tang.
Yep. Don't use pencils; they'll get stuck in the microchips.
Yeah, and don't poop.
All right. Before we get down to leaving, we got some funny pillows. South Park: The Fractured But Whole is a funny video game that is out for your console of choice, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. We've had one of the devs on the show last week. When they make merch for games, sometimes
Yeah.
it's very like perfunctory and whatever. And in this case, they made some South Park pillows. They've got a picture of the coon on them. And they say
These are
on the
GameStop
label,
exclusive.
Yeah.
They're $29.99. You're probably
They
going,
say- they say, oh, they say-
a lot of money for a pillow. Does it do anything?
You asked me. That's in stereo, my friends.
So these are Farting the Coon South Park pillows. What a weird sentence. $30. They feature two alternating, very long farts.
Over one different fart sound effect.
This is not like your average whoopee cushion that emits a real Bronx cheer. This is a big, wet dunker.
We had so many things with noises on this show.
Yeah.
I like that one. That part in the beginning, that little.
Again,
Little-
you're probably
little
like,
slider.
that's a lot of money. This is actually a very soft pillow. It features a soft boa plush applique for comfortable sitting.
It's pronounced applique.
Velcro access to batteries for easy replacement.
And it's
3
great
batteries
'cause
are included.
Really, it's great for like lumbar support. If you don't mind the sound of the fart that it makes, which is really the selling point of the farting pillows. You know what's great is somebody in the comments could be like, "These guys are so unprofessional." And what? What gave it away?
Ooh, mine's ripping some real wet ones.
We're doing some journalism over here. We're doing real games journalism.
Oh, game journalism.
Yeah.
Maybe you heard of it.
I'm a real Tom Brokaw. Down at the press room. I got that one of those hats with the press card in it, and I
Yeah.
say, excuse me, I'm with the press.
I've got breaking news. It's called Breaking Wind.
Hey-oh!
These are ages 14 and up because children can't hear the fart. Their
Hey, we
ears
got-
are not developed enough yet.
We got someone in the comments. Min says, that guy said he hated Sonic. Why is IGN still using him? And
Now,
then
a
he
lot of you have wondered
corrected
what my
hated
stance
twice.
is on the comments that I've gotten. About a year and a half ago, in an IGN video, I said that, I'm not really the biggest fan of Sonic. I've tried for many years. And to that, I'd like to say, I think that was Big the Cat. That's the noise he makes. You know why? Because he eats fish.
All right, so those are our farting South Park pillows. I'm sorry.
No, we did good. I think that's fine.
Did we do our homework? Did we do all the stuff on the show?
We did a lot of it.
We had one thing we wanted to talk about. You actually, you have to. Do we have time? How long is that video we got?
We have a few moments. 12 minutes? Okay, we have a few more minutes.
2 minutes to kill. We've got a great Let's Play of this game, The Mummy Demastered. We're going to get to that in a second. Is there anything you want to talk about before we leave?
I don't want to put you on blast, but you know you're having a Halloween party this weekend.
Yeah, I am.
You're not invited.
Yeah.
I mean, I love you, dude, but like you picked a rough weekend for it. Like I really want to just go and play Mario.
Here's the problem with this time of year in general. It's like this is when all the big games come out. But also, I mean, yeah, I'm totally with you. I wish I wasn't having a party and doing that. But you can't have a Halloween party after Halloween, apparently, which sucks.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Because, I mean, it'll be November 3rd the following weekend because Halloween's on
the gourds are already out by then. You know, that's all the Plymouth.
Yeah. But also everything, all the
pizza.
skulls are on sale and stuff. You go down to the spooky barn and you buy the spooky
That's
skulls.
true. You could get all the costumes you need by then.
And I can just leave them up.
I will be there, but like this is a conversation that all of you are probably having in your heads right now. We've got all these awesome games out this week. Specifically this weekend, Stranger Things Season 2. There's also Jigsaw in theaters if you want to see how fast that whole list falls apart. But there's a lot to do, but still, find a little bit of time to dress up as a mummy and socialize.
Well,
you can dress up as a mummy very easily for free.
Don't you start with that.
By going into any bathroom, taking all the toilet paper, wrapping yourself up, and walking out. It's called mummying. And kids are doing it everywhere for charity.
Hashtag mummying.
Hashtag
Speaking
mummying.
of mummies and mummy awareness, we're going to play The Mummy Demastered. It is a really fun, really hard Metroidvania game from WayForward, the guys who do the Shantae games. They've got a bunch of really cool games where you jump and collect the things. Really cool soundtrack. Also, it's based on a very crappy movie. Let's take a look at that. And also, after that, Brian's going to go play Mario. Get out of here.
2 hours right here on IGN Live. So just stay where you are and order pizza and stuff, and let's get crazy.
He's got a long day. The Mummy. Howdy ho, boys and ghouls. Max and Brian here, and we're playing The Mummy Demastered, which is a brand new retro-styled video game based on one of 2017's worst horror movies, The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise.
Right.
But the game is really cool.
Yeah, this is sort of a surprise. It shouldn't be, if you've been tracking it at all. WayForward made it, and WayForward has a fantastic pedigree of making awesome games. They made an Alien game. They have made Shantae, which is like an awesome sort of 2D Metroidvania-style platforming game. And that's what this is in line with. They've also made Contra in the past.
They have a history of kind of making these retro-styled games like you'd get with licensed games in the 90s. There's Russell Crowe right there. He pops in to give you whole walls of text. He sends long-ass emails. But basically, they have a history of latching on to kind of licenses that don't always work out so hot. They made a game called Aliens Infestation that came out right alongside Aliens Colonial Marines, which was a really horrible game that year. But Aliens Infestation is incredibly cool. It's an Alien-style Metroidvania.
Yeah, so we're playing this game on Switch right now, which is interesting because, new Metroid came out this year. Axiom Verge came to Switch this year, but Metroid didn't come to Switch. So you're probably looking for that 2D Metroid style action.
Well, also
and it's here.
Yeah, and the fact that it's all pixel art. There's no like this is it's sort of I guess it's kind of 2.5D-ish, but not really. It's like it's 16-bit. But yeah, basically another game they made. They did the Nintendo DS Thor game, the movie, and that was. I remember going to an event for that. I think in 2011, and it was all of the kind of Wave 1 Marvel movie games, whatever. And there was like that weird sort of Gears of War styled Captain America game, and there was a Thor DS game that again had like beautiful pixel art like this. And you think of something made in the 21st century, this isn't really the art style that comes to mind. But here we are with a game based on a.
Here is titular Mummy herself.
Yeah, there's the actual the memoir.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Metroidvania fan. I play them all, or at least as many as I can. This one is specifically surprising because it's contemporary, right? Like you're not really using sci-fi weaponry. It's not really based in fantasy too much, obviously, aside from mummies walking and talking and giant spiders killing you. But like you get guns, you get grenades, you get spelunking equipment.
Yeah.
It takes place in Iraq, which is weird for a Metroidvania game.
I think they pretty much. If I had to guess, they probably had sort of the bones of the skeleton, the mummy of another game, and then they got the license to kind of slap on top of it. And it doesn't look like they phoned it in any sense. It just seems like it's sort of a stretch from what the movie did. I still haven't seen the movie, but it does start out in Iraq with Tom Cruise playing this sort of like Nathan Drake type Tomb Raider character. who discovers mummies.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about licensed games, first of all, historically they're not great, but also they don't really make a lot of them anymore. This feels like a very Game Boy Advance era game. Like,
I mean, they don't make them a lot anymore because typically they suck, and they also, I think it costs too much to make games.
Yeah.
And it's like, why bother?
So, what's interesting about this is, I don't really care about Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe fighting mummies in that movie. But in this game, like, I'm just playing as a soldier with a helmet. I don't know if I'm Tom Cruise. I'm about to die.
No, if you showed this to somebody, you're like, what 2017 movie is this based on? You wouldn't know. It's okay. You die here. So they do something really cool with the deaths in this game, where whenever you die, you come back as a zombie, and then there's this sort of here we go. We're going to compare it to Dark Souls, but it's sort of Dark Souls-esque in that you have to go back to get your stuff.
Yeah.
But then you have to kick your own ass.
Yeah, you have to fight yourself, kill yourself, and get your guns and stuff like that. And you get more guns. Like if you've played a lot of Metroid games, like you need missiles to open certain doors. In this game, you get grenades. You can get a charge beam and power beam. In this game, you get like assault rifles and stuff like that. So there's contemporary solutions for pretty much everything you'd expect from a Metroid game. But it's modernized and it's against mummies. So I'm really fascinated with this. It's $20. It's on like every platform right now. Some of the bosses are really awesome. The environments are gorgeous. The music is like stellar.
Yeah,
like,
let's go check out some of the funny enemies. What I love about this is that it's just like it's unabashedly like a goofy ass 16-bit game.
Yeah.
I mean, I always used to watch movies and be like, I wonder what the video game version of this would look like. And you look at something like the Sega Genesis Judge Dredd game, or I don't know, any of the old like X-Men things where you have to like in the source material, maybe there aren't really a ton of enemies.
Right.
I mean, you look at Alien 3, where it's like there's one alien in that movie, but they were like, how do we make a game where you go around killing something repeatedly? And they're like, throw a bunch of aliens. And like,
Yeah.
I think there are bad crows in the movie, not Russell Crowe, like the animal crow. But I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
there
think
was
that-
just like airplane scene, I think, from the trailer.
They all fly into the plane. I think there is something in the movie where he like can't die or does die or is dead or something. But like, what I don't think are in the movies is giant hilarious rats.
Yeah.
Like those ones.
Which is great.
There are also neon green locusts that just bounce around, like those funny little little ravioli monsters that always kill you in Metroid.
Yeah, they're kind of grasshoppers. So that's the thing, right? Like, you've seen enemies like this in Metroid. You've seen platforming like this in Metroid. But here they're rats. You're like,
yeah.
okay. This movie has a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not good. I have no desire to see it. I think, like, all the alcohol and airplanes in the world combined will probably not get me to watch this movie. I'm just not interested in it. I like the Brendan Fraser ones because they're fun and campy. This just, like, kind of looked a little too serious for me. But the game is fun and campy. And it's, like, weirdly picking up the slack where the movie couldn't.
Well, exactly. It's campy. The movie I don't think was campy. They were trying to build a new cinematic universe. I don't know what's going to happen with that whole dark universe thing.
Yeah, I just hope they build a new way forward video game universe of games, because I want to fight the grasshoppers.
I hope they take a cue from this movie and they're just like, we are introducing the great new dark universal monsters, the big crickets. The big crickets that bounce back and forth betwixt the walls.
Yeah, that sounds like something you would do by like the 7th movie.
These
like,
look like
we've introduced the cricket.
These look like something you'd, I don't know, like catch in Harvest Moon or something.
Yeah.
They're like not even threatening, but they will kick your ass, and then you have to go kill yourself.
So I'm up to like the 3rd boss or 2nd boss in this game, and like they start to get really gigantic and awesome, and the pixel art's really cool. It's just special. It's like a weird time for this game. I don't know when this movie came to digital, if it even did yet.
I don't think it has dropped yet. I mean, look at these. These are laser bats. They'll shoot little lasers at you.
I thought that was turds.
I don't think it is. Also, it's not turds with the bat. It's called guano.
That's true. I saw Ace
Also,
Ventura When Nature Calls.
they explode.
As did
Look
you.
at that. Is that poopy? What is that?
I think it's some poops.
Yeah.
Some blood poop from
They're very
from
sick.
the demon.
Sick. Oh, they could be fruit bats. Maybe they had like a bolus of raspberries. But yeah, like I like that it's so cartoony. They're like, oh, you have to fight bats, piranhas, rats, crickets, zombies, and you're like, all right, why not?
Yeah, I mean it's very
Lanterns?
Castlevania-y. So
Also, those are just straight up just Super Metroid health. Like
Yeah.
that's not, they don't even try.
you rat.
Yes, that's true. I hate these platforms. They're the real enemy in this game.
Platforming is definitely one of the harder parts of platforming games.
Especially when the platforms aren't even reliable. Look at these poorly constructed.
Yeah, they always
things.
fall apart, but they use the mummy's curse to return.
Does
I
he
think,
just
I
like
don't
what?
know.
I don't even what like in Castlevania. It's unconvincing to rip a hole in the wall and tear out like a roast chicken and eat that for health, but at least that's sort of relatable. In this case, you're just, I don't know, eating orbs you find inside kerosene, like they're old lamps with, hey, cool, grenades. Yeah, blow them up.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you can use these in combat, but more importantly, you can use them for traversal. And if you want to get into special areas, I think I saw one down here. There it is.
Yeah, go in that board door. There is some weird hand-holdy stuff in this where Russell Crowe will text you to be like, hey, I don't think we're ready to go over here yet.
Right.
'Cause
It reminds me of
you haven't blown
Metroid.
up that door yet.
Reminds me of Metroid Fusion, where you're
yeah.
constantly getting like phone calls from a guy being like, "Hey," and I think when you're playing Metroid games, you're like, "Leave me alone," you know.
No, that's what I've always loved about Super Metroid is the sense
Look
of
at this map,
isolation.
though,
That's
right?
gonna get big. It's 3%
Yeah, I'm
of the map.
3% done.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like I can't remember the last time we had something like this where it was a totally solid game based on a really crappy license.
Yeah,
I'm honestly trying to remember.
it's been a very long time. I mean, it doesn't really happen anymore,
Yeah.
like we said.
I mean, it's sort of a different beast, but I would say like Spec Ops: The Line is kind of a good example of that.
Yep.
In that was like a totally surprising game using the branding of something that didn't have great history.
Yeah.
There was that Butcher Bay Chronicles Riddick game that was developed by Machine Games, who just did the new Wolfenstein. That didn't have those bats in it, though.
That's true. So
No.
yeah, plenty of animals in this game. It's out now, $20.
I love it. It's just like one piranha too. It's not
Yeah,
even like a.
he
It's not even like a
defends the
school
whole
of them.
He defends the whole sea. I don't know if there's like other like creatures like a merman.
I hope you fight the merman. I can't. I hope that they keep the Dark Universe going to get the merman.
Me too. Merman and then grasshopper here.
The black lagonistic merman. He hangs out down in that. It's like one fish. That's so
It is,
stupid.
yeah. He does not want anyone.
I don't
going out
even
water.
honestly. I don't know enough about piranhas in an actual science thereof, but I don't think one piranha is that big of a deal. I
They
think
love
it's when
they
there's
love
a bunch of
ham.
them.
I know that you can throw a whole meat into the sea.
That's true of literally all fish.
Really?
Yes, they'll all eat the ham.
Ham?
They love a ham. They throw like who the one fish who loves the ham the most is Ponyo.
Is that true?
From the anime.
I didn't watch that.
It's pretty good. It's made for 4-year-olds. It's really weird.
40-year-olds?
4-year-olds. They were literally like, a lot of people don't like it because it's an insane movie, but children don't understand movies, so they're just like, the fish is here. Oh, the ocean ate the car. Oh, the fish sure loves ham. And it's like the movie. It's over.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say about the Mummy?
Not really.
Demastered?
I could keep talking about Ponyo. I think it's a better film than The Mummy, but it doesn't have a video game yet.
Probably.
Go in that- go in
Hotel
that
for Dogs is a
green
better
hall.
film than the Mummy.
Oh, I hope Way Forward does a Hotel for Dogs video game. That'd be great.
That'd be great. Like a
You'd be
huge hotel, and you
yeah.
gotta like search around for all the dogs.
You've got to get like a sword and kill caterpillars for 3 levels, and then they're like, "Great news! You unlocked a new dog for your hotel." And you're like, "What is this micromanagement?" Oh, hey,
Ooh,
you got a
look
new
at this.
gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Oh, look at that weird dead guy in the corner.
All right.
Yeah, so that's the Mummy Demastered. It's $20. It's on all the different platforms you could get it for. We're playing it on Switch. It looks gorgeous on that little old screen, and it's probably a better use of your money than buying the Mummy.
I like that. I like what
Yes.
you did there.
Yes. Anyway,
spend your money on the Mummy.
yes, keep it wrapped like a mummy.
Don't forget to buy this game and unwrap the game to end the Tutankhamun's curse.
It's a uncommonly good time.
That's all the Mummy puns we have.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Oh, that's really good. Egypt.
Well, that was the Mummy Demastered. That's weird. Anyway, I wanted to wish you all a happy Halloween, and I hope you have a safe time. And before we throw to Mario Odyssey, which Brian's in the other room playing, he's not. Get that. It's a JPEG. Get that out of here. Get it? It's not. He's not. It's the ghost. Go in the other thing. We're gonna push all the buttons on the noisemaker things. We'll be back. We'll be back next week with all kinds of fun stuff. But first, go Justice League and the fart. And on that note, I hope you all have a great weekend. I can't hear my own thoughts. Happy Halloween, everybody.